Barakte Hawa, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Kodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this one is Hard Times Are Coming. And pretty much the title for this lesson and the inspiration for this lesson comes from a video I was watching that Elder Muwaddazak put up from the head of the LA camp. And he put up a video where they're speaking about these shortages and, you know, the up and coming, inflation, hyperinflation, how pretty much, these different bankers, through whatever sources they got or whatever individuals they got, are buying up, farmlands, are making the life of these farmers a living hell. They're breaking down the supply chain of food, which is causing shortages, which in turn is causing supply and demand, which in turn is causing these different so-called merchants to sell their wares, their goods for higher prices. This is in the midst of also, the constant printing of money, which is putting a lot more money into the economic soup and making that economic soup even more and more watery, as G. Edward Griffin uses the analogy of the soup, the watery soup. And as a consequence, you're seeing the prices of goods going up, but it's not that the goods are getting any better. It's not like the goods are, have a more accelerated rate of, whatever benefits the food gives you. It's just that the more they print the money, the higher the prices go, because there's more money in the system than should be, and it takes that much more dollars to buy something that you would buy, at a half the cost or a quarter of the cost, maybe a year or two ago, or 5 years or 10 years ago, and this is what they're doing. They're purposely causing the economic system and supply chains of the world to pretty much implode within themselves, which is going to cause a ripple effect and cause hard times. That's why the name of the title is Hard Times Are Coming. Now, I looked up hard times in the Common Dictionary. It says hard times, a time of difficulty. Then it has synonyms: disaster, crunch, misfortune, hardship, sorrow, suffering, mishap, difficulty, which is where you get the word straight, S-T-R-A-I-T, not straight ahead, but straight as in a position of difficulty, calamity, misery, trouble, Jacob's trouble, catastrophe, reverse, because for a long time, people in America have been, and around the world, but in America, since we're in America, we're dealing with America, people have been in a super comfortable position. That's why the majority of people in America are fat, out of shape, obese, because of this careless, laid back, lazy lifestyle that is here in this country. So there's going to be a reverse of the good times, which are going to turn into bad times. Remember, even when we go back to Egypt, in Egypt, you had the 7 years of plenteous, but then after that you had what? The 7 years of famine. And those 7 years of famine were very harsh, very rough, so much so that people sold all of their goods, spent all of their money, even sold their cattle, their land, and themselves into slavery in order to be able to eat. Just the mere right that a human has just to eat. They had to sell their lands, give up their money, and sell themselves into slavery just to be able to eat. So we're in the modern day Egypt, and this is what's happening right now. The modern day pharaohs, which would be a representation of the international banking families, which have puppet leaders around the world that are officiating their business, are pretty much putting a crunch on the people, to cause them to be in a very bad position to where they will accept anything in order for them to be able to um, live or have some type of semblance of normalcy in this society, because these difficult times are coming. It also says clutch, uh, poison, trial, jam, bummer, affliction, distress, evil eye, because a lot of people's eyes are going to turn evil, man. Hard knocks, like hard knock life, hurting, bad break, ill fortune. It goes on and on and on. I mean, my goodness, the amount of synonyms just keep going on and on and on. And then you have antonyms, which is just as many, or at least half as many. But hard times are a time of difficulty, and that's what's coming. So that's pretty much what this lesson is about. There's no coincidence. It's no coincidence that Kill Bates is buying up a lot of farmland. You have a lot of these. See, because what it is they're trying to put in these aquaponic, man-made, meats and fruits and vegetables, to cut down on cost. First and foremost, cut down on overhead. They don't have to pay a whole bunch of farmers to go out there and to dig up the land and to plant the seeds and to, after they do all of that, make sure that the plants are and the food is properly cared for. Then in the harvest time, go out there and, gather all the stuff. Everything could be made could be made in the lab, could be made in a building somewhere, as they're doing now. That's why you go to the store, you buy a can of seltzer, right? You can get the regular seltzer or you can get the flavored seltzer. Now it says pomegranate, it says watermelon, it says cranberry, it says lemon, lime. But if you look at it, it says flavored, which is not really lime, it's not really cranberry, it's not really pomegranate, it's really flavored. And what are those flavors? Those flavors are chemicals that they're adding into the seltzer or in these different drinks, which have a similar taste to the actual fruits, that you eat. But all it is just manipulated chemicals that eventually destroy the body. So on all levels, that's what they're doing. This Beyond Burger, or Beyond Meat, or Impossible Meat. Yeah, it's impossible because really it ain't really meat. It's a substitute, and you don't know what they're using in these substitutes. And this is what they want. They want to control it because they know that in controlling that, people can't get the proper nutrition, which they already don't have the proper nutrition, because the foods don't give off. The scriptures say that we shall eat our bread defiled among the Gentiles. The food already doesn't give the proper nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and so on and so forth that the body needs. But now by manipulating them and making these frankenfoods, they're even less nutritious, to the body. The only thing they do is taste good, and that's it. All right? So we're going to start off in the book of 2nd Ezra 6, and we're going to start off at the 15th verse. It says, "And therefore when it speaketh, be not afraid. For the word," a matter of fact, let me start up at 11. "I answered then and said, O Lord, that bearest rule, if I have found favor in thy sight, I beseech thee, show thy servant the end of thy tokens, whereof thou showest me part the last night." So the prophet Ezra is asking the Lord to show him what's going to happen in the end, what is going to determine when the end is here. So he answered and said unto me, "Stand up upon thy feet, and hear a mighty sounding voice. And it shall be as it were a great motion, but the place where thou standest shall not be moved." Yeah, because eventually the earth is still going to be here, but the calamities that are going to come upon the earth are going to move, this society. But the earth is still going to be intact because the earth will not be destroyed. It'll just be a change of rulership and a change of um, a vibration, from a wicked vibration to a righteous vibration. And therefore, when it speaketh, be not afraid. Why? Because when it starts speaking, as the scripture says in Habakkuk, at the end it shall speak and not lie. When it starts speaking, it's going to be speaking terrible things. And those terrible things are going to come by way of these different calamities that are going to come upon the earth. And these calamities are coming upon the earth because it's the Heavenly Father judging this world for its wickedness. It says, for the word is of the end, and the foundation of the earth is understood. Yeah, because you have, just like you have a beginning, you have a middle, and you have an end. And every time you have a beginning, there's certain things that happen. You have the middle, there's certain things that happen. And when you have the end, there's certain signs and tokens and things that occur to show you, without beyond a shadow of a doubt, that this is the time of the end. All right? It says, and why? Because the speech of these things trembleth and is moved, because it's going to be very bad out here. You know, we've been saying it for years, and we're going to keep saying it, Yahweh Shema Shai Rataza, until it breaks. And once it breaks, the ones that didn't mentally prepare themselves, you know, in these times are going to be in for a rude awakening. It says, for it knoweth that the end of these things must be changed, because this man has destroyed the earth. And if the Lord doesn't take this man out of rulership, which he is, this man will destroy the earth, the people, and himself. This is just how much of a destructive, evil, robotic devil that these devils are. Talking about the Edomites, inside joke. You know, it's dealing with these, beginning with the international banking families, because the average Joe Edomite out here, they don't know what the hell is going on. You know, some of them, you know, that are into the Bible, which some of them might be Jakes, some of them that are into the scriptures, they and into economic situations, or how the economy works, they know somewhat of what's going on, but they don't know the whole picture. See? It says, and it happened that when I had heard it, I stood upon my feet and hearkened, and behold, there was a voice that spake, and the sound of it was like the sound of many waters, which that's Yahweh Shai speaking. You know, we could read about that in several other precepts in the book of Revelation. It says, and it said, behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh and to visit them that dwell upon the earth. Yeah, because there's a visitation, because the keys of the world, so to speak, were given to Esau. And Esau has not ruled this world in righteousness. He has ruled it in wickedness, because he is the wicked. So the Lord is going to come and make an inquisition as to what is going on. You know, why is the earth in this condition when I gave it to you in a pristine state? Just like if your parents leave, you know, you have, you know, siblings, you know, brothers and sisters, and the oldest sibling is given the charge of making sure that when the parents get back, the house is in the same condition that it's in. And if the parents come back and the house is in shambles, who do you think the parents are going to blame? They're going to blame the one that they left in charge, the oldest, whether it be a son or a daughter, you know? And they're going to get the brunt of the punishment. So that's what the Lord is doing. He gave this devil the keys. This devil destroyed the earth, and now the Lord is making inquisition as to what the hell is going on and why did you do it. Just like he questioned Cain. Where's your brother? What hast thou done? He questioned them. So there's a great inquisition going on indirectly of Yahweh B'Shem Shai on these devils through the prophets, bringing out these precepts and these prophecies as to what's going on and as to why the earth is in the condition that it's in, and what the people that are ruling it, who they are, what they've done, and what their judgment is going to be. It says, and will begin to make inquisition of them what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled. Yeah, because they hurt unjustly, you know, with their unrighteousness. They hurt the Israelites, you know. They hurt the earth, they hurt the animals, they hurt the trees, you know, everything, life in general on the earth, they've hurt and destroyed it. So the Lord wants to know what the hell is going on. Salaki, little levity there. But it's true. It says, and when the world that shall begin to vanish away. So when we read these things are supposed to pick our spirit up, because the Lord said, look, this is what's going to happen. That's what's going to go down. When you see this, then know that this is coming, and that's here, and that's the, So it says, and when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then will I show these tokens, meaning signs, the books which are who? The Bible, shall be opened before the firmament. What is the firmament? The ozone layer. Now, the books being the Bible, how are the books being opened before the firmament? It says, and they shall see all together through a thing called the internet. Remember in Daniel the 12th chapter, says that knowledge shall be increased. So through the mechanism, the technology of the internet, this word has been magnified. The truth is out there. It's giving witness and a testimony against the earth, against the people that are ruling, against the nations, against the Israelites that are not getting right. And it's good news to those Israelites of the elect that are receiving the good news that although you're going through what you're going through, eventually there's going to be a change of world. And eventually you're going to be taken care of. You're going to be soothed, when the world goes into calamity stage. It says, and the children of the earth shall speak with their voices. The women with child shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months old, and they shall live and be raised up. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. So we're witnessing now the sown places being unsown. And this is why you have a disruption in the food supply. This is why you have pretty much like an all-out assault on farmers. And these devils are making it very, very hard for these farmers to survive, because they want to disrupt the supply chain of food and of these different commodities in order to put the rest of the world in a position to where they either comply to their goods or they die. Because a person's whole life is revolved around surviving, survival. And that's the average person out here. Their whole mindset is about survival. So if they're in a predicament to where someone else holds the power or the sway over their ability to survive, they know that they have to comply to that person. Like when you watch these different series like The Walking Dead, or when you watch the movie like Blindness and different movies like that, they show you that the whole thing is about survival. It's about eating. It's about who has the power to take over the supply. And then the people that want to eat, that are not a part of that group, have to bow down to the demands of that particular group. Otherwise, they die. And that's the bottom line, just to put it into layman's terms. So this is what's happening. These devils are making it very hard for these farmers, which in turn is making it hard for the production of food, which in turn is causing a disruption in the supply chain, which in turn, once there's not enough food and resources to go around, the prices are going to go up, because the farmers or whoever's selling these goods are going to charge a lot more. And then on top of that, you have the economy that's being devalued, or the so-called currency that's being devalued by the day, which is causing higher prices also, which is nothing more than inflation, which is not the prices of goods going up, but it's more like the value of that currency going down because of the injection of more dollars into the supply of the currency. And this is why you see a lot of nations backing out of dealing with the US dollar, because they're finding out that them working amongst themselves and trading amongst themselves, and their own currency is more, it's cheaper for them than to have to deal with the dollar, and then the conversion of their money into dollars, which makes their money be devalued. You know, so it's a whole mess. All right, so I want to read real quick in the book of 2nd Ezra 15 real quick before we go back. It says, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundations of it shall be smitten with the plagues and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. Yeah, so Egypt, which is modern day America, is going to be in this predicament because it's the punishment of the Lord. When you see these plagues, these pestilences, these famines, these things like this, the economic woes, these are punishments from Yahweh Bashem Yahushai upon Esau and upon the people of this world, you know, that because of their wickedness. So it says, they that till the ground shall mourn. Why? Because they're not going to have the substance that they had before, that allowed their families to survive for decades, that allowed their families to survive for centuries. Because you got to remember, some of these farmers have been generational farmers, you know, that took over from their fathers and their fathers and their fathers and their fathers, going all the way back to when Esau conquered and colonized this country, so-called country. So they're going to be mourning. Why? Because as the prices are going up, they're not going to be able to afford to stay afloat. As these devils put more and more taxation and more limitations to what they can and can't do, you know, and the prices of through all this red tape, which are nothing more than taxes in a feudal society, it's going to get worse for them. So what do you think they're going to do? They're going to bow out gracefully. They're going to maybe invest in something where they can, you know, make some kind of money, take the crops that they do have, the skills that they have, and just make sure that they're good to go, and maybe the surrounding families or people that they cool with, you know, and just keep it amongst themselves. And this is what the international banking families are counting on, because once they have control of the food supply and everything around the world, then they can introduce their MOB, which is the ultimate goal of these bankers, to have everything online, digitally. Now, the brother Yashalom from the New York camp just did a video where the MTA is no longer accepting cash. They used to accept cash all the time. Now they're no longer accepting. I didn't get a chance to watch the brother's video, so I didn't really get the whole, every detail of it. But this is just showing you that on all levels, cash is being phased out. You got these digital currencies that are being pushed around the world, in China, you know, so they're making cash obsolete, you know, because although these nations are mad at Esau and they got their little squabbles here and there, the higher ups among them are still in bed with this whore, America, you know, and they have the leaders are in agreement with this new world order plan, because what it does, it makes them richer and it makes the people subservient to them. You see? So it says, they that till the ground shall mourn, for their seeds shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with a fearful consolation, because these farmers have something called the Farmer's Almanac, and that Farmer's Almanac is pretty much a prediction of the crops, you know, and things that are going to happen. Because remember, on the stock market, the trade, you know, they trade in pork bellies and oranges and different things of that nature. They count on that. Salakia. But they have to have something to be able to foretell what's, you know, what to expect in order for them to make those different decisions as to whether they're going to sell or whether they're going to hold on to the crop, you know, or the stock, you know, or whatever the case may be. And as they're looking up into the heavens, because some of them can read the stars and stuff, they're seeing that things are getting bad, you know, and the crops are not going to be yielding what they've yielded before. So it's going to be all about, it's going to be a battle of survival for those that are not a part of the elect. The elect, scripture said, knowledge and wisdom shall be the stability of thy times, the strength of salvation. But for those that are not within that loop, within that hedge, their whole thing is going to be all about survival. As the saying goes, the survival of the fittest, you know, and survival by any means, because of the miseries and the hard times that are going to come upon this earth. So as we go back to 2nd Ezra 6 and 22, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. That's dealing with these different farms, you know. And ever since that pandemic, you know, they really started shutting down. I mean, these devils they doubled, tripled, quadrupled their wealth, and that really helped them get put a stranglehold even further on the world, as if they didn't already have it, but it caused them to put even more of a stranglehold on the world. It says the four houses shall suddenly be found empty. Yeah, because the storehouses are these different warehouses that hold these goods. You know, some goods are shipped from other countries, and they're in bottles, they're in cans, they're in whatever they make, different packages, and they take them off of those ships, and those containers go to a particular yard, and those containers are put on tractor trailers, and those tractor trailers take them to, whether they take them to supermarkets or whether they take them to different warehouses where they stock these things. But now, as the food supply is breaking down, the food chain is breaking down, they're not going to have the surplus that they used to have. So what do you think is going to happen? Now they got to go into their reserves, which are in these warehouses, and start using that just to be able to fill in the gap. And eventually, when that runs out, there's going to be nothing. You know, and now with the economy being the dollar being so devalued, you know, it's causing the dude was saying that I believe corn went up almost 100% from just a couple of years, even though most of it is GMO corn, but just from a couple of years ago it went up 100%. As to back then, you might have been able to buy one corn for like 50 cents or 25 cents or whatever the case was. Now you might have to pay $1 or $1.50. You know, you get those packages with like 4 pieces of corn, $4 or $5, you know, depending on where you go. So the prices are skyrocketing because the dollars are being devalued by the second. You know, and then when there's not enough supply, they call it supply and demand. What's going to happen, like when this pandemic came to pass, what happened was that especially Ishmael, you know, you go to them Ishmaelite places, a little bottle of alcohol that you used to pay maybe 79 cents for, 69 cents, 89 cents, $1 at the most, they were selling it for $10, $15, because there wasn't enough supplies to go around. So they I believe that's called price gouging, you know. So they spiked the prices up. So where people are desperate, what do you think they're gonna do? The movie, I believe it was Contagion, if I'm not mistaken. The people went into a store, and the prices were skyrocketed, you know, to where you had to pay a whole lot more for a gallon of water than you would, because that's what happens when a supply chain breaks down. And when somebody has a monopoly on those goods, they're going to sell them at the highest price possible to make the most out of their investment, so to speak. So it goes on to say, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, the full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. Yeah, because it's not going to be good. You know, whenever there's an alarm of war, people get nervous, because that's not a good thing, especially in a society or a so-called country where people are used to having everything easy, having everything instant, being able to go to a drive-through and within 5 minutes, you know, they can get their food and eat and gobble that garbage down. And then it's getting to the point now where when people take too long in the drive-through to get their food, they're throwing tantrums. because they had to wait an extra minute or two to get their food. So these devils got this place right where they want it, man. You know, and the Lord is using these devils to a T. You know that's bad. You know, when you cook food, you have to wait to eat for a while. But when you go to these different restaurants, within 2 or 3 minutes, 5 at the most, sometimes you get your food. And people are so undisciplined that they can't even wait an extra minute or two from what the time that they normally wait. So they start flipping out. They start trying to stab people, choke people, fight people, shoot people.
Boss.
Yes. No, estoy bien, gracias, pai.
Yo, habla español. ¿Hispano?
Sí, sí,
Sí.
sí.
La mujer mía no le gusta que yo sea familiar con todo el mundo.
Pues no hay nada mal con eso.
Ah.
Eso está bien, pai, no hay nada mal con eso.
No, que me molesta, yo soy así.
Sí, ok, pues gracias, pai.
No, papi,
Gracias.
de verdad te lo digo. A ella le molesta que yo sé, que la gente, déjame así como yo soy. Si tú no eres familiar,
Sí,
si tú no eres familiar con la gente y
Ajá.
en el público afuera, al lado tuyo, tú eres miserable.
sí. Es verdad. Es verdad, ya.
De verdad te lo digo.
Sí, sí.
Tú eres miserable, papi. Tú tienes que estar con la gente
Ajá.
para tú sentir amor y cariño de
Eso
todo
es
el
verdad.
mundo.
Porque no, el mundo está frío hoy.
El mundo está frío, exactamente.
Sí, sí.
Y tú
Y está
tienes-
frío como esta cerveza.
Yo tengo el caso. Y yo le dije, negra, vamos a dar una vuelta por ahí.
Sí, sí.
Porque la pierna me dolía mucho. Dime, mi amor.
¿Tienes mi teléfono?
Ah,
¿Tienes mi teléfono?
está allá afuera, mi amor.
¿Qué quieres?
Ok, pai, gracias, pai.
No te vayas, yo vengo a hablar con tu gatito.
Ok, yo estoy en YouTube, estoy vivo. Estoy enseñando la Biblia.
Oh, sí.
Sí, sí, sí. Pero estoy enseñándola en inglés. So,
Pues, papi, el inglés mío es un inglés pendejo.
ajá.
Dame una cerveza, no sabe el pan.
So, déjame terminar aquí.
Enséñame lo que
Mira,
tú
la gente está poniendo,
haces. Yo no...
están poniendo, están escribiendo cosas,
Oh,
según la.
la Biblia,
Sí.
Biblia. Papi, ¿tú sabes una cosa? Que esto viene, papi.
Yeah,
Yo me tomo mi cerveza,
yeah.
no tengo vicios malos, no robo, nada, me retiré.
Ujú.
Yo estoy retirado hace como 3 semanas atrás.
Ok.
Me retiré. Y de verdad, pero tú tienes razón, porque tú mi familia. Dame una cerveza, honey. Give me a beer. Va a hablar con el hombre aquí. Mira, papi. Y toda mi familia, el hermano es pastor.
Ajá.
Todos son religiosos,
Mm.
pero tienen diferentes. Uno es adventista,
Sí, sí.
uno es pentecostal,
Ajá.
el otro
Testigo
es
de Jehová.
Exactamente. Yo digo, ¿y para dónde carajo yo voy a coger? Déjame tranquilo.
Yeah.
Y yo me acuesto por la noche y
Ajá.
le digo, Dios mío, Señor, Padre,
Ujú.
alabado.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes, ¿cómo está?
Esa es la esposa mía. Por
Mucho
40
gusto.
años, papi, 40 años.
Eso está bueno, pai, porque hoy en día la
¿Puedo
relación
sentar
no-
contigo aquí?
Sí, sí, sí.
Sí, vámonos.
Está bien,
Mi amor, camina por un ratito. Yo, para contarte mi historia.
está bien.
Papi, el nombre mío es Tico Reyes.
Ed,
Ed,
sí,
así me llaman a mí, Ed.
sí.
Ed es del Tico.
Okay. Espérate un momentito. Hey, Salaki brothers, I'll come back, to y'all, speak with the brother for a little bit. Hey, Shalom. Salaki.